welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. Before I get into today's episode, just want to thank everybody for supporting the channel. I'm pushing to 2,000 subscribers, so if you enjoy the content or if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much. So we're back here with another video, and there's been some buzz around Jimmy Butler and him potentially leaving the Miami Heat as a free agent in the 2025 NBA season. So Jimmy Butler, we all know, is under contract next season with the Miami Heat. And in 2025, Jimmy has a player option. And earlier this summer, back in June, Jimmy Butler wanted that full extension with the Miami Heat. And the Miami Heat said they're not willing to give him that extension yet. And so Jimmy said, okay, that's fine. I'm essentially not going to sign an extension with any team this season, and I'm going to play out next season with the Miami Heat, and I'm going to test out free agency. And he did say, though, he does want to sign a new contract with the Miami Heat as a free agent. That is his preference. He wants to stay in Miami. He wants to win a championship in Miami, but things can change. A team can come out and offer Jimmy one last, lucrative contract that could sway him and potentially get him to leave. That could be from a shitty team, which we'll discuss today, or it could be a team that is desperate at the trade deadline next season, perhaps, or even if Jimmy doesn't want to get traded or the Miami don't want to trade him next season, then it could be a team that's willing to go all out, a team that's better than the rumor team that is projected to signing Jimmy Butler if he does become a free agent, like the Houston Rockets. Could be a good scenario where they do have Fred VanVleet, they do have Dylan Brooks, they do have up and coming stars like Sengun, and they have Jalen Green, and then of course they have Amen Thompson, and then they have Cam Whitmore and a few other players. So that could be a promising prospect for Jimmy Butler because he is also from Houston. But the team that has said that they would be interested in signing Jimmy Butler apparently is the Brooklyn Nets. So the NBA rumor mill is basically saying there are whispers that the Brooklyn Nets are interested in Jimmy Butler. The big question is, would Jimmy Butler really consider moving to the Brooklyn Nets? And what does that mean for the Miami Heat? So, again, let's talk about the contract situation. So, Jimmy Butler signed a 4-year, $185 million extension with the Heat back in 2021. And so he has 2 more seasons left, one guaranteed next season, and then he has a player option in 2025 for, I believe, $48 million. So Jimmy could opt out and become a free agent, and that's what he said he apparently wants to do. Things can change, but as of right now, that's what Jimmy wants to do. And according to Bleacher Report, Butler reportedly likes the Brooklyn Nets. Now, liking a team doesn't necessarily mean he's planning to move to that team or sign with that team, but it is interesting considering that the Nets are going to be a rebuilding team and they're not really going to have a strong roster. Like they have some decent players with Claxton and Cam Thomas and Cam Johnson. They got Schroeder. They just added Bojan Bogdanovic as a veteran from the Knicks. They don't have a ton of players. They still have Ben Simmons. Who knows what's going to happen with him? There's a history between Jimmy and Ben when they were both on the Sixers. So not the greatest team. Like if Jimmy Butler really wants to compete for a championship, then why would he want to go to the Brooklyn Nets? They just traded away their best player in Mikal Bridges. They just got 5 draft picks for that. So it seems like they would want to go young. They're nowhere near ready to add someone of Jimmy's caliber at this point, especially someone who's 35 years old and spending, a 3-year whatever $150 million contract that Jimmy wants. He looks like he wants to average 50 million plus a year for the next 3 to 4 years. So if I was Brooklyn, I'd rather spend money on someone who's younger, maybe someone who's 29 or 30, who also is a veteran, perhaps. Like maybe try to sway a Donovan Mitchell who just signed a 2-year extension. Just because he signed a 2-year extension with the Cavs doesn't mean he's going to stay there for that 2 years. Or even just wait till he becomes a free agent himself. And Donovan Mitchell, who is from New York, perhaps would be someone who's better suited for the Brooklyn Nets rebuild. He would be 31, I think, at the time, or 30 years old in 2 seasons. So I think that makes a lot more sense. But the Nets have been quietly assembling young talent and future assets. Again, they do have Claxton, they do have Cam Thomas, they do have Cam Johnson. So they have all the draft picks, which is great. But they do have the most cap space. They're going to have the most cap space essentially in 2025 as well. So that could entice them to build quicker, essentially, especially if they can be horrible next season, which I assume they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA. And if they can win the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, then adding a player like Jimmy, could accelerate that build. Like, is Cooper going to be like a Victor Wembanyama who's going to change the trajectory of a franchise who was once horrible into a threatening young team like the Spurs? That team is going to be good quick because Victor is one of the best NBA prospects since like LeBron James. And he is super versatile and one of the best defenders, top 3 in defensive player of the year already as a rookie. So he's going to be scary. So could the Nets seriously try to contend, I say, by acquiring Jimmy Butler? Who knows? But the real question is, why would Jimmy want to leave the Miami Heat? So that's the real question. He said he loves Miami Heat culture. He loves the Heat. He loves just the culture. Again, as I said already, but he loves the city of Miami. He loves his teammates. He wants to win a championship here, and he loves Eric Spoelstra and the system. I think he's the heart and soul of this Miami Heat team, and he's definitely been a surprise and a breath of fresh air. As soon as we signed him 4 years ago, I don't think any Miami Heat fan expected us to go to the NBA Finals twice. So we've had the deep playoff runs, but we haven't ultimately been able to win a championship, and that is what Jimmy's goal really is. So I think with the Miami Heat, it comes down to a few factors. The Heat will need to maintain a competitive roster with Jimmy Butler because, again, he wants to win a championship, and that could be challenging with the contracts that we have with Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Terry Rozier. We are spending a lot of money. We're almost a second apron team, and we're a playing team, which doesn't really sit well right now. That we're a play-in team, but the seventh most expensive team last season. So people were saying Mickey is cheap. Yeah, we had the seventh highest salary in the NBA. Like, we're not being cheap necessarily. We just haven't made the right moves in this Jimmy Butler build. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But I think the Miami Heat can be competitive if we're healthy. If Jimmy plays and doesn't load manage and misses 20 plus games like he does every season, then the Miami Heat can avoid the play in and be a top 4 or 5 seed next season if we're healthy. If Tyler Hero can be healthy and consistent, if Jimmy Butler can be healthy and actually try hard during the regular season, if Bam elevates and continues to grow, if our young assets like Kalel Ware, these undrafted guys that were now in our system can elevate their games and stay healthy, I think the Miami Heat have a deep roster and we can convince Jimmy to stay. But who knows what the hell is going to happen? I could see Jimmy Butler getting traded next season so we don't let him walk away for free and get some draft capital, because having draft assets is the new gold in the NBA. Like, you need draft picks if you want to attain other superstars. And the Miami Heat have like one tradable pick in the future right now. So we do need to reload the clip, and hypothetically trading Jimmy Butler could give us 2 to 3 first round picks and, 1 to 2, decent or up and coming type of players. So we'll see. But Heat Nation, what do you think? Could Jimmy Butler really be considering a move to the Brooklyn Nets as a free agent in 2025? Or do you just think this is just some BS rumors and speculation? Do you think Jimmy's going to re-sign with the Miami Heat? Who knows? But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. What do you think Jimmy is going to do in that 2025 season?